So after a few days of using the Maonocaster G1 Neo and the Maono PD100X, I made a review video and told you all about it and the bells and whistles and the features, it packs, why I review things like this on my channel. And those are my first impressions and thoughts about the PD100X and the G1 Neo. And of course, it's a first hand review, so I wouldn't have used it that long to be able to give an extensive review of what I think about it. But now, having used it now for about a month in my setup, I wanted to go through and tell you what I feel about it after 1 month, if it's still something that is worth getting. Especially, I'll tell you about the combo, and of course, all the sections in this video I timestamp so you can check and skip through to see any section that might actually be of interest to you for this video. So I've been doing this now for about a month, and the first thing I can tell you for a fact that it's a nice piece of device, a nice piece of combo to have. And the sweet fact is that also Mono sells this as a combo set. Although there are some things I don't quite like about it, but we'll get to that later in the video. But first, let's talk about some of the things that are key that you might want to think of as you try to get this setup for yourself. The first thing you might want to think of is the price of this combo setup, coming at about $120 at the time of recording this video. I think it's a real steal for your setup, especially if you're considering this as a combo. If you're considering this as a standalone device, you need to buy other devices, of course. And even as a combo, there's one more thing you need to buy, because in the setup, you do not have the XLR cable that goes into the G1 Neo. If you want to use this as a combo, you need an XLR cable to connect the PD100X to the Maonocaster G1 Neo. So that's one extra device you might want to get. And for someone like me who uses a clamp it setup like this one here, I need to have a boom arm or some mic arm of some sort to actually use with this. This microphone in the combo setup does not come with a microphone arm or any arm of any sort. It only comes with a weighted base, so that's something you might want to think of for that. So with the $120 you're spending for the combo, you need to factor in some extra cost for your XLR cable. Although the USB connection goes directly into your computer and then you can use that directly, but then that means the G1 Neo just is a glorified just sound card for your setup. But of course, I'll put the links to purchase in the video description so you can check it out. But as a disclaimer, Mono did send this kit out to me to review for them. But of course, they do not have any input into what I say or think about it. And I want to give my honest opinion to you, my viewers, on this video. How do I use this? How do I use this every day in my setup as a DevOps engineer, as a content creator, as a trainer, IT trainer? For my meetings, I have this in a weird setup now. Hear me out, hear me out. My setup is a little bit crazy, but it works for me. And that's the point. Given that this is a dual output kind of microphone, it means you can use the XLR and the USB connectivity. Here's how I have it set up. For my meetings, for my work, I have this connected via USB to my work laptop, and that serves as input into my laptop. And then the output serves via Bluetooth on my work laptop into the Maonocaster G1 Neo and goes into the speakers in my home office, and that works pretty well just fine. I use Microsoft Teams for my meetings, and the noise echo effect is not a problem for me because I've tried to manage it well in my setup. So USB into my computer, Bluetooth out into the G1 Neo, and goes into my speaker system. So I have this connected two ways into all my setup, all ready to go to record on any device I might want to use anytime, any day. And the fact that you can use any of those devices also with your mobile phone means that if I decide to get on the go and I want to use a setup, I can either just take the Maono PD100X or carry it alongside the G1 Neo and use it for my podcast setup on the road and all sorts, and it's just all good. But that is it for my work setup. For my recording setup on my main computer, which is not my work computer, I have it connected via USB on the G1 Neo into my computer, and then it also serves as the output on my computer. So input output on my computer from the G1 Neo and goes into my speaker system in my home office, so I don't have to wear headsets all the time, because of course I love headsets. I love using headsets, of course, to monitor audio and all sorts, but for recording my setup, for streaming and all sorts, I don't need that. So my speaker system is just enough of that. And if I need to use the speaker system, the G1 Neo serves as that. So I connect it, the headphone out goes for my headset, and then there's a line out also that goes into my speakers, which I think is really nice for my own personal use case. And that has worked seamlessly well for me in my setup. So I have it always connected via XLR and USB all the time. Although I do not use the headphone out on the PD100X because it's not something I generally need, because I have other set of monitoring systems I use in my personal setup for recording content. And as I've mentioned, you need to factor in getting an XLR cable by yourself if you want to use this as a combination device in your setup. That is an extra cost. Of course, you can check many review videos available online on quality XLR cables you can get for your setup, and that is something. And the fact that this only came, the microphone only came with this base, which I would have loved if it had a bit of a more mounty head like it did with the Maono PD100 that sounds just like this. It would have been a little bit usable for me for the mobile setup, but that is also not a big problem for me because I have boom arms all around my office that I use. And you can of course check out the mono boom arms also for your use cases if you want to use a mic boomed for yourself. But for my personal use case scenarios, I think I just like having a boom arm setup, and the reason I love it is pretty simple. I can move it around to be out of shot when I'm not using it, and then I can have it just come to me when I want to record videos. And then of course, if I'm facing my computer setup to do stuff on my computer, I can always move it around. And that is the main reason I would recommend it. If I had it on the mic stand, I have to figure out where to place it on my desk and all that, and that is not something I generally look forward to. I don't look forward to that kind of stress in my setup, and that is how I set it up for my own personal uses. Although I don't have any plans in the future to take this out, because I think I would mainly be recording my setup, but I can always use this on the go by just carrying the PD100X and then recording it via USB into my computer, and then just having a bit of fun on the go. If I try to do that, it's also possible because of course it works with your Android device and your iOS devices. It works with all devices really, as long as you have the USB connectivity to that device. It does not matter if it's Mac, Windows, Linux, Android, iOS. It does not matter. It just works with them out of the box, which I think is something that's really nice for this kind of setup at this price point. Now, the big question you might want to ask me is this microphone setup for me? Should I get the PD100X and the Maonocaster G1 Neo combo for my setup? The short answer is, if you're a content creator that has not bought any microphone in the past and you're looking for something that is new, modern, beautiful, I would say yes, 100% go get it. At $120, I think this is still already for the price point it comes in at. And of course, two things you need to factor in is the boom arm you need to get for yourself and the XLR cable you need to get for yourself. Aside that, of course, you need to get headphone if you need to monitor your audio and all that also. And of course, if you want to just use your computer output speakers, that is also fine by yourself. But for me, the extra thing I think you need to get, because I have my setup already kind of established, I would say, yes, go for it. But then you need to factor in the cost of an XLR cable and a quality boom arm, just like this one for your setup. I'll link everything I've used in this video in the description, so you can also check it out for yourself and see what kind of combinations you can also get for it. But the short answer to that question is yes, 100%. I would recommend this for you to get it at about $120. I think it's good enough, because comparing that to bigger sort of setups, you would get the microphone at about $100, get an audio interface at about another $100, $200, $300. That is already a lot of money. But for content creators just starting out their journey, you don't need to go break the bank. Start with what you have on a budget, and then once your channel and your content creation journey grows, you can then buy more expensive devices. But I think one big shout out to brands like Maono is the fact that they make budget devices that fit purpose. And that is it. I could have gone ahead and actually bought more expensive devices for my content creation journey. I could afford it, but then I just love to be on a budget, of course. Everybody wants to save money once in a while, and that is the reason I do this kind of things in my setup. But then my personal view of this, after using it for a couple of times and listening back to the recordings I've done, is that you need to learn how to orient the microphone properly so the pops and the bees does not affect you so much. You can realize I have it at an angle to my mouth right now, although I've not listened back to this audio, but I hope the pops and the blabs will not be so much in this setup, because of course if I was facing it this way and I did the P's and the B's and the C's, there would be a bit of plosive in the setup, but of course having it angled a little bit would kind of save that, because I'm not blowing wind into it directly. It has a bit of plosive rejection, but of course I think that is not the most excellent plosive rejection you can get in a microphone. But of course at the price point you can't blame this microphone, so you have to want to think about setting that up. Even if you use the more expensive microphones, you still need to factor out, placing the microphone properly for your setup, and you can't go without saying P's and B's. Really, those are the the bane of the world we see every day, especially someone like me who deals with production deployments. You get that? Production deployments. But of course that's it, I think, for this video. For a long-term review, for usage review, I think, will I recommend it? Yes. Would you buy other things to make it pop in your setup? 100% yes, because I would not recommend for someone who wants to record to have a mic that low on your desk. For someone like me who's, well, I'm about 6 feet tall, 5'9", and for me to have that kind of stuff means I'll have to crouch to be able to record, clean, sweet audio. The proximity effect is something you really need to get right in your setup. So for someone like me to get that proximity setup, I would need to crouch low, which is not good for me. So I have this boom arms to help me achieve that purpose. And of course, a boom arm is something that is just a given in the industry. You should get it. Yeah, that's it. That's my review of it, really. Not so much trying to waste your time, but I think it's a nice device to have. Should you get it? Yes. Is it good enough? I say yes. Is it budget enough? I think I'll say yes, because given that I've bought microphones that are more expensive and does almost the same thing, gives almost the same kind of sound quality, more of the work you will do for your audio setup is in post-production. But of course, out of the box, this gives you just the audio you need to get started with your content creation journey. And this really goes out to people just starting out and people who are at the intermediate level of their content creation journey. I've been doing this for about 7+ years now, creating content for YouTube, having my podcast, being a trainer online and all that. This just comes in handy and easy for me, and I can't recommend it enough. So I recommend it to you if it's something you want to get. But I guess that's it for today's video, and I'll be seeing you yet again. But till I come your way again yet to another video, like this video, share, subscribe, and tell someone really about it. And I'll see you again in another video. Stay safe and goodbye.